Hello friends, you are welcome in video lecture series on the topic ecological factors. So we know very well there are different ecological factors commonly known as edaphic factors, climatic factors, topographic factors and physiographic factors. So all these factors including edaphic factor, climatic factor, topographic factor and physiographic factors. These factors plays important role in the growth and development of plant or plant communities. So these factors, ecological factors, are also known as environmental factors. So these various environmental factors plays important role in the plant life as well as animal life. So under the heading of these ecological factors, we are going to study only the climatic factors. So we know very well what is the meaning of this term climate. So this climatic factor includes these four different factors, namely light, number 2 atmospheric temperature, number 3 precipitation and atmospheric humidity, and number 4 wind. So all these four factors which determines the climate of particular geographical area are commonly called as a climatic factor. That means factors which determines the climate are commonly called as a climatic factors. So under normal and natural conditions, the growth and development of plant or plant community is influenced by the sum total of effects of all these environmental factors. That means due to cumulative effect of light, atmospheric temperature, atmospheric humidity as well as precipitation and wind, due to cumulative effect of these all factors, plant growth as well as development of plant as well as community development is decided by the cumulative effect of all these climatic factors like light, temperature, humidity and wind. So under certain conditions, even single factor can show its effect. So for the study of this effect of single factor, the analytical study of each and every or single factor is essential. So in our syllabus, we are going to study only the role of this light and role of atmospheric temperature under the heading of these ecological factors. Only role of light and temperature is included in our syllabus. So remaining factors are not included in our syllabus. So what is the meaning of light? We know very well. So what is the role of light? We know very well. That means light is an important factor for the proper growth in plants as well as development of vegetation. So in any ecosystem, there are different types of ecosystem: forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, as well as crop ecosystem, man-made ecosystem. So in each and every ecosystem, the green plants are commonly studied under the heading of producers, or green plants are commonly known as producers. So these producers or green plants fix the atmospheric light energy and convert this atmospheric light energy into the chemical energy in the form of carbohydrates. So this food prepared by the plant during the process of photosynthesis by utilizing the light, atmospheric light, is utilized by all animals. That's why animals are commonly called as consumers, including us, human beings. Many types of animals are there. Mostly herbaceous animals or grazing animals feeds on the different types of the plants. That's why they are known as consumers. So sunlight, what is the sunlight? The solar radiations in the form of rays reaching the earth's surface. Solar radiations in the form of rays reaching the earth's surface is commonly called as a light. So solar rays are electromagnetic waves and exhibit spectrum with three regions, namely ultraviolet region, visible region or visible spectrum, and infrared region. So these three main regions are available in the light. So term light is generally used for the region in the electromagnetic spectrum which is visible to our eyes. That means the visible light is the region of electromagnetic spectrum. It is commonly considered as a light. So light in visible spectrum is very important for growth and development of the plant. So out of the total radiations reaching the earth's surface, near about 39% light radiations are of visible light, 60% radiations are of infrared radiations, and only 1% light radiations are of UV radiations or ultraviolet radiations. That means the visible spectrum of light is having 39% space acquired in the spectrum of the light. So the light which is received by the plants is not totally utilized by the plant for metabolic processes. So amount of the light incident or received by the plant, leaves or any of the organs, 50% light is re-radiated in the form of heat, 30% light is reflected, and only 1% light energy is utilized by the plant, or only 1% light is fixed and converted into the chemical energy. That means out of this total visible spectrum of light, some light is re-radiated, some light is converted into the heat, some light is reflected, and only 1% light is converted into chemical energy. That means food material. That means during process of food material, plant absorbs the visible light energy and converted only 1% light energy into the chemical energy. So effect of light can be studied under the heading of quality of light, intensity of light, and duration of light. So what is the meaning of this term quality of light? In our visible spectrum of light, there are 7 colors. Due to difference in wavelengths of different rays. 7 colors of light we can observe during rainy season. Rainbow. How many colors are there in the rainbow? There are 7 colors are available in rainbow because of different types of rays having different wavelengths. So this visible spectrum shows the wavelengths of 7 rays or 7 colors from violet to red. So out of these different 7 colors of light available in the visible spectrum, blue and red light is important for supplying energy to the chlorophyll. Red light plays an important role in excessive elongation of the cells and tissues. Blue light is showing retardation of the growth in plant, while infrared radiations are harmful to the plant. So as compared to single wavelength of light, the complete visible spectrum of light is important than the single colored light. That means as far as the quality of light is concerned, plants are receiving all quality of light. That means total visible spectrum of light is having different 7 colors. But isolatedly, if we apply this single light to the plant, it shows the particular effect of the particular color of light. That means the light rays, blue and red light rays, playing a important role in supplying energy to the chlorophyll. Red light is showing excessive elongation of the cells and tissues. Blue light showing retardation of the growth. Infrared radiations are harmful, and complete visible spectrum of light is beneficial or important for the normal growth and development of the plants. So next factor, sub-factor in the light is studied under the heading of intensity of light. So change in the intensity, sudden change in the intensity from very low intensity to very high intensity is detrimental or harmful to the plants. So very high light intensity is harmful because it is responsible for photooxidation of enzymes. So if photooxidation of enzyme takes place due to very high light intensity, the biochemical reactions which are naturally carried out by the action of enzymes stops. That means very high light intensity is harmful for the growth and development of the plant. So some plant grows in bright light having full intensity. Some plants grows under moderate light conditions having less intensity of light. Some plants are growing in shady areas. For example, if you take the plants growing in the forest, shady plants, shade living plants, plants which are growing in the forest, most of the forest, tall trees, below these tall trees, some small herbs are growing, grasses are growing, pteridophytes are growing. So all these are commonly called as shade living plants or shady plants. So shady plants are not directly exposed to the bright sunlight. That means they are exposed to the diffuse light having low intensity. So as per the ecological requirements of light, intensity, the plants are classified into the two types, namely heliophytes and xeophytes. So what is the meaning of this term heliophyte? The group of the plant in this category, heliophytes, are exposed to the bright intensity of light. That means those plants which can tolerate high intensity of light. That's why they are commonly called as heliophytes. So another group of plant which are commonly known as shade loving plants. That means the next category of plant is known as xeophytes, which are commonly known as shade loving plants, which requires moderate light intensity, moderate or low light intensity. So because of their growth in bright light intensity, bright light having more intensity, this heliophytic plant shows or develops some characters. For example, if we observe the root system of these heliophytic plants, root system is extensually branched, it is deep in the soil. Then if we observe the stems of the heliophytic plants are generally hard and woody. Then if we observe the leaves are with thick cuticle, and leaves shows, internal anatomy of the leaf shows differentiation of palisade tissue and spongy tissue. So this spongy tissue possesses less chlorophyll pigments as compared to palisade tissue. So if we see the another internal character or anatomical character in the tissues of the leaves of heliophytic plants, the intercellular spaces in the anatomical details of this heliophytic plant shows very small intercellular spaces. So this is the character of the anatomical character of these heliophytes. Then mechanical tissues in all heliophytic plants are well developed. Then rate of respiration is generally high in this group heliophyte, and because of this growth of this plant in high light intensity, in full bright light, this plant shows xerophytic characters. So we know very well what is the meaning of this term xerophyte. That means the xerophytes are the plants which are generally growing in deserts or in dry regions or in xeric conditions, which shows some xerophytic characters, xerophytic adaptations. As like this xerophytic character, some xerophytic characters are also shown by this heliophytic plants or heliophytes. So if we take the another group of the plants, ceophytes. So these ceophytic plants also shows some characters. Ceophytic plants also shows some characters which are adapted for the shady conditions. So these ceophytic plants generally which are growing in shady areas or shady places, having or receiving very low light intensity or diffuse light. So stem of this plant is generally long. Internodes of this stem are also long. Leaves are generally dark green in color. Leaf shows well developed pellucid tissue and spongy tissue. Leaves are generally thin one. Mesophyll tissue is differentiated into pellucid tissue and spongy tissue. So more spongy parenchyma is there, which is containing very less amount of chlorophyll pigments as compared to pellucid parenchyma. So margins of the leaves in these ceophytic plants are generally entire or smooth. Then epidermal cells contain the purple colored pigments commonly called as anthocyanins, and plants are generally soft, herbaceous as compared to these heliophytes. Heliophytic plant body is hard and woody one. Ceophytic plant body is herbaceous one, soft one. So because of the growth of this plant in low light intensity, plant shows these characters. Then mechanical tissue system or mechanical tissues like sclerenchyma, collenchyma, xylem, they are reduced. That means poor mechanical tissues are observed in these heliophytes. So the important physiological processes which are affected by the I am going to discuss this last category of light quality, duration of light. So we know very well in the 24 hours day cycle there is a dark period and there is also light period or photo period. So some plants requires more light period, some plants requires less light period and more dark period. After completion of vegetative growth, if the plants are exposed to the appropriate condition of light period, then and then only flowering in this plant is possible. So this phenomenon or this relationship between the process of flowering after completion of vegetative growth, plant bears the flowers. That means vegetative buds, they are converted into reproductive buds. That means this process of flowering is controlled by this photoperiod, appropriate photoperiod. That means the plant shows some response to the photoperiod, and response shown by the plant to the photoperiod is commonly known as photoperiodism. So on the basis of requirement of appropriate photoperiods, plants are classified into these three categories, namely long day plants, short day plants and day neutral plants. So what is the meaning of this term long day plant? Plant which are requiring longer photoperiod than shorter photoperiod. Then and then only after completion of vegetative growth, if these plants are exposed to the long photoperiodic conditions, then and then only flowering occurs in these plants. The second category of plant on the basis of requirement of life duration. This plant requires short photoperiodic conditions. After completion of their vegetative growth, then and then only flowering occurs in these plants. They are known as short day plants. And last category of plant is commonly known as day neutral plant. So flowering process in this day neutral plant is not under the control of appropriate photoperiod. If these plants are exposed to the long photoperiod, flowering may take place. If these plants are exposed to the short photoperiod, flowering may take place. That means in this plant, flowering is not controlled by appropriate photoperiod. Even though they are exposed to the long photoperiods, flowering may take place. If they are exposed to the short photoperiod, flowering may take place. That means on the basis of requirement of duration of life or requirement of the photoperiod, the plants are classified or categorized into these three categories like long day plants, short day plants and day neutral plants. So finally, I am going to discuss the physiological processes affected by quality of light, intensity of light and duration of light. So in the plant, growth and development of the plant, various physiological processes are going on throughout the life of the plant, and these physiological processes are generally controlled by this quality of light, intensity of light and duration of light as far as light factor is concerned. So I am going to discuss these physiological processes which are affected by quality of light, intensity of light and duration of light. Number one, synthesis of pigments and photosynthesis. So we know very well the photosynthesis process takes place in presence of light only. In absence of light, there is no possibility of photosynthesis. That means during the process of photosynthesis, light energy is trapped by the photosynthetic pigments like chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, carotenes, xanthophylls, etc. And by harvesting this light energy by these chlorophyll pigments, this light energy is converted into chemical energy by utilizing other components from environment like CO2, another component from soil in the form of water. That means by utilizing raw material, food material in the form of atmospheric CO2, water from the soil absorbed by the roots coming towards the leaves, by utilizing this raw food material in presence of sunlight, each and every green cell or green organ of the plant take part in photosynthesis, and light energy is converted into chemical energy in the form of carbohydrates. This is known as photosynthesis. That means photosynthesis process only takes place with the help of light, in presence of light only. In absence of light, photosynthesis is not possible. That means for the purpose of photosynthesis, the synthesis of pigments is essential. So these new pigments, photosynthetic pigments, are produced in the chloroplast. That means existence of the chloroplast takes place from pre-existing chloroplast. This is known as biogenesis of chloroplast. That means this chloroplast, synthesis of chloroplast or production of the new chloroplast takes place in presence of light only from existing chloroplast, commonly called as proplastic. That means in absence of light, the synthesis of pigments, chlorophyll pigments, is not possible. In absence of light also, photosynthesis also, in presence of light only, photosynthesis takes place. In absence of light, photosynthesis is not possible. Then next physiological process affected by quality, intensity and duration of light, rate of transpiration. So the water which is absorbed by the root system, some amount of water is utilized by the plant for metabolic processes, and excess amount of water or surplus amount of water which is absorbed by the root system is expelled out in the form of vapors during daytime. It is commonly through the stomata. That means stomata are the minute apertures, openings which are present in the aerial organs of the plants, which take part in the exudation of water or removal of water in the form of vapors during daytime. So this transpiration process is related with atmospheric light intensity basically. So if light intensity is more or during daytime, transpiration takes place. If light intensity is more, rate of transpiration is more. If light intensity is low, rate of transpiration stops. That means during daytime, stomata remains open and take part in transpiration. During night time, stomatal aperture get closed and transpiration stops. That means the rate of transpiration is also controlled by the light quality. That means the light plays important role in this transpiration process also. Then third physiological process affected by this light, photosynthetic and respiratory gases exchange. So we know very well during the process of photosynthesis, atmospheric CO2 is absorbed by the leaves through stomata and water taken from root. Plant synthesizes food by utilizing these two components like atmospheric CO2 and water. Carbohydrates or starch is produced by the each and every green cells during the process of photosynthesis. But in absence of light, photosynthesis is not possible. That means at high light intensity. What is the role of this intensity of light? If light intensity is moderate, then photosynthesis process is showing efficiently going on. But when light intensity is very high, at that time rate of transpiration increases very fastly due to high light intensity. So in order to check the rate of transpiration, stomata gets closed. When stomata get closed, what will happen? The CO2 which is absorbed by the leaves from atmosphere stops. That means CO2 from atmosphere is not available at this situation when stomata get closed during daytime due to high light intensity. In order to check the transpiration, stomatal apertures get closed and the incoming CO2 stops. That means CO2 from atmosphere is not available for the process of photosynthesis. So each and every living cell take the oxygen for what purpose? Cell respiration. So CO2 produced in respiration, oxygen is taken in each and every cell for cell respiration, and end product of the respiration is a CO2. So CO2 produced by each and every living cell in the process of respiration is not exuded by the leaves of the plants through the stomata because stomatal apertures get closed. That means CO2 produced during respiration is not expelled out. It remains as it is in the cells. In the cells, it is utilized for the process of photosynthesis. So this situation is known as compensation point. This is called a compensation point. So at this situation, no dry weight of the plant increases. No addition of the food takes place during such situation. That means very high light intensity is not beneficial for the growth and development of the plant. It is not useful for the plant. High light intensity, it shows adverse effect. Then next physiological process affected by the light is the physiology of flowering. So I have already discussed the role of light in the process of flowering. So after completion of vegetative growth, if the plants are exposed to the appropriate photoperiods, then and then only flowering process is possible. That means in the physiological process of flowering, the photoperiod plays important role. That means this appropriate photoperiod or light period control the process of flowering. So plant shows seasonal variations in the process of flowering. Some plant produces flowers in summer season. Some plant produces flower in rainy season, some plant produces flower in winter season. That means the annual plant requires very short duration for completion of vegetative growth. Perennial plant requires many years for completion of vegetative growth, and after completion of vegetative growth, if the plants are exposed to the appropriate photo period, then and then only process of flowering begins. That means there is a seasonal variation in the length of the day or photo period. I have told you earlier, in our country, in winter season, the photoperiodic conditions are shorter. That means length of the photo period in 24-hour cycle is short and darker periods are more. That means night period is longer and photo period is shorter. In summer season, photo period is more and light period is more or photo period is more, or days are longer in summer season. That means this is the seasonal variation in different seasons, in winter season, summer season, etc. So this seasonal variations plays important role in the reproductive growth. On the basis of requirement of these photo periods, the plants are classified into these three categories, like longer plants, short day plants, and day neutral plants. Plant requiring long photo period, they are known as long day plants. Plant requiring short photo periods, they are known as short day plants. And plants those which doesn't require specific appropriate period. If they get shorter photo period, they flower. If they get longer photo period, they flower. This category of plant is commonly known as day neutral plant. That means in the process of flowering or in the physiological process of flowering, the photo period also plays important role. Photo period also plays important role. Then next process, physiological process affected by this light, it may be quality, intensity of duration, seed germination. So naturally, when seed germinates, when seed gets suitable condition for germination like appropriate moisture, temperature and air or oxygen, seed sprouts and it develops the radicle, plumule, etc. and formation of seedling takes place from these germinated seeds. So some seeds require special conditions for germination. Some seeds require darkness. If they are exposed to the light, germination stops. That means some seeds are requiring dark conditions for germination. Light is detrimental for this germination of some seeds. So light is essential in some seeds. That means in some seeds light inhibits seed germination. In some seeds light is required for germination. Some seeds requires red light for germination. So far red light is showing inhibitor effect on the process of seed germination. So as far as this seed germination process, natural process is concerned, it is also controlled by this light factor. Light factor, especially quality of light factor. Quality of light factor. Some plant requires dark conditions, some plant requires light conditions, some plant requires red light for germination. So last process which is affected by this light is distribution of the plants. So light controls the reproductive growth in plants. I have told you earlier, light controls the reproductive growth in the plants. So different geographical regions shows the different types of vegetations. That means the distribution of the different types of plants is decided by the light quality. Light quality. So all these physiological processes produces the cumulative effects on growth in plants as well as development of the plants. That means, so light is very important factor for development of plant as well as plant community, and it is playing important role in the vegetation, development of vegetation as well as growth of the individual plant or growth of the plant population or growth of the plant community. So that's all about this today's our factor, light factor. Next time I am going to discuss the next factor, atmospheric temperature. So thank you very much.